AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
So. And Mr. Toby Tomlin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes from right now. Get a check in on Clemson next hour. Baseball Tigers back on the diamond tonight. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Football Tigers are 7 practices in, 7 of their 15 spring workouts in the books. There was media availability here on Tuesday. Lane Kiffin met with reporters afterwards. I'll start with, I guess, what is the most newsworthy item, just sort of as a note here to begin. No Sam Leavitt. If you noticed, Leavitt did post on his Instagram story Monday night that he had a procedure. I tweeted about this. He had the pins removed from his foot from the original surgery that he had in October for the Lisfranc injury. So this was, I guess, as expected, according to Lane Kiffin, who kind of gave the update on Sam Leavitt. It's number 2.
None of these are surprise. This is the timeline we expected, and had the screw removed yesterday, and everything went well. It was something that going into it, we were going to know that it was going to be unfortunate. He was going to miss spring a lot of it, but that was going to allow the other guys opportunities. And just feel nowadays, it's a little easier to play quarterback than it used to be years ago as far as how long you've been there. And look at the previous place we were at. The guy didn't get there till the summer. So, kind of that went into the decision where I feel like years ago you've been really concerned that the quarterback's going to miss your spring. He's done a great job mentally in the meetings and walkthroughs and able to throw some individual before this procedure.
Lane Kiffin's way smarter than me. He's coached way higher level football than me. I am concerned that you don't have your quarterback for spring. It's a new quarterback. It's a new offense. It's a new system. Lane's talked about the importance of the quarterback in this system, comparing it to the point guard. You would rather have your quarterback than not. Similarly, he's right. Trinidad Chambliss didn't show up at Ole Miss until June. I could also go back to 2018 when Joe Burrow showed up at LSU in June, and he wasn't really, really good until November of that year. So lots of different ways it can go, but you are talking about a very experienced player in Sam Leavitt. So Leavitt was not out there today. Lane also said they do not expect to have him the rest of spring. He's on crutches right now. So that meant Landon Clark, Huson Longstreet, Emil Picarello will be your 3 quarterbacks the rest of the way. If you have heard our practice reports before this, we get to see 5 periods. It's 5-minute periods. So we get 25 minutes. The first period when they come outside that we get to see is an 11-on-11 period. And they call it, Jakeem Jackson was in our studio last week, said they call that quick 6. So it's 6 snaps. 1s-on-1s, 2s-on-2s, happening simultaneously on different fields. Of note today, the big change, I guess, would be at left guard. The first team offensive line had been the same up until this point with Seaton, Harper, Moore, Baugh, Davis. That had been your first team offensive line. The change on Tuesday was at left guard, Devin Harper went with the 2s, and Bo Bordelon, 5th-year senior, went with the 1s at left guard. So that was the notable change. Your second team offensive line, you had Harper was at left guard, but at left tackle, Bryson Martinez continues to work there at second team left tackle. Devin Harper was at left guard. William Satterwhite, the Tennessee transfer, was the second team center. Jaquan Sprinkle from NC Central was at right guard. And Darren Stray, the transfer from Kentucky, working at second team right tackle. So those were your first and second offensive lines. We've also kind of been charting interior defensive tackle because that's really the only spot where we've seen turnover defensively among the ones. And today, the two defensive tackles working with the ones were Deuce Gerald and Malik Blockton. Of course, Gerald's the freshman, Blockton the Auburn transfer. Of the 6 plays that we got to see, first down was a completed pass to Winnie Watkins. He was lined up on the right side of the formation, came across the formation to the left, shallow cross, caught for about 10 yards. Second play was a quarterback draw where Landon Clark pumped, faked to the right and then just took off up the middle. It was a design quarterback run. It's one of the interesting things that we're definitely seeing is you're going to see these quarterbacks run. It's just obviously a part of this offense. Design runs, moving the pocket, just getting the quarterbacks on the move. Last week, one of the practices we were at, we saw these quarterbacks like just doing designed run drills in one of the individual periods. So it was a middle draw by Landon Clark. Third play was interesting. It was a sideline route complete to Malik Elzy on the right side. Elzy wears number 88. He's the transfer from Illinois. He's a big-bodied receiver, about 10 yards downfield on the sideline, spun, cut back toward the field. It was a nice pitch and catch there. Then they ran 2 running plays. They ran a toss to Caden Durham. It was just a straight toss to the right, around right end to Caden Durham for a few yards. Then it was a dive, the middle, so a handoff up the middle to Caden Durham for a couple of yards. The last play was I thought was probably the best defensive play for LSU. And Deuce Gerald, who was lined up as the freshman interior defensive lineman, was lined up on the left side at left defensive tackle, right, the right side of the offensive line. Blockton was to his right. Well, Blockton gets upfield, and Gerald's loops around Blockton to his right, gets his hands up, and knocks the pass down. It was intended for Caden Durham. So really nice play there by Gerald, who is not big. Gerald's is 6 foot. I think they have him listed at 6 foot 270. So he's not. He very reminiscent of Bernard Gooden from a year ago, a smaller interior defensive lineman, but man, is he active. He is active, quick first step, and he is disruptive. So for a guy that is a freshman early enrollee, already taking reps with the ones, and already making his presence felt, it's a pretty good sign of things to come. So that was the quick 6. A couple other notes. I thought it was interesting. When they go to their individual groups, so at first the quarterbacks are working with the running backs on handoffs. So it makes sense, right? I mean, quarterbacks and running backs have to work on handoffs. So then the tight ends go with Joe Cox, and then the receivers are on a different part of the field, and they're catching patches. And usually, because all the quarterbacks are running, doing handoff drills with the running backs, so the receivers have to catch the ball. So typically, you'll see GAs or something like that throwing the passes to the receivers. And I'm watching the receivers, and I'm going, it's like, man. I was like, the dude can spin it over there. Like, who's that GA? So I grabbed my phone, and you on your camera, you can do like the 5X to zoom in. It's T. Martin. That's like, okay, that explains it. I mean, the dudes are over there. I mean, what a luxury, right? To have your receivers catching passes from a guy that won a national championship and played quarterback in the NFL. So now T's put on a few LBs, okay? He is not little in the middle. T. Martin, yeah, the scale has been friendlier to him in the past. But it was cool. It was cool to watch him spin it. The only thing of note, whenever the quarterbacks and the receivers came together, Jackson Harris did have a drop. It's the only drop I charted. I didn't chart every single rep because I stand between 2 fields, and I'm trying to watch the offense on one field, defense on another. So I'm kind of going back and forth, seeing what I can see and note and take down notes. So it was the only. I'm not trying to single out Jackson Harris. So there were probably others. It's just the one that I saw today. And I also thought it was interesting on the defensive field. There were four 4 individual periods, right? We saw that 11-11 period and then the next 4 periods. In each of the 4 periods, Blake Baker worked with a different group. So, like, he worked with P.J. Woodland and Aiden Anding. So those are your nickels. Worked with 2 players. So your defensive coordinator during one of the periods worked with 2 players. In the next period, he worked with all the safeties. And then he worked with Spears, Jim Coyley, and Aiden Hall, who are all star linebackers. So he went nickel, safety, star. And then the 4th period, he worked with the entire second. They did like a secondary shell drill, no line, no linebackers, just the secondary line working on coverages. And Baker was the quarterback, effectively running the entire drill. So Baker, it's pretty clear they're moving him around a ton. I actually asked Lane Kiffin about that. He said it's intentional. He wants Baker to communicate with all the players because of in-game communication allows Chris Kiffin to stick with the linebackers. So it's allowing Blake Baker to be more versatile and work with every position group. So it was interesting to really pay attention to that today. Atreides was in a gold no-contact jersey, as was Malachi Thomas, the tight end from Pitt. Both were doing everything when we were out there, but just one other thing of note. All right, if you want to get your practice report, you can get it at louisianasports.net. Hunt always writes up. We pool all of our notes so you can see a full practice report, always free over at louisianasports.net. All right, it's After Further Review. Show Up and Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. The official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Baseball at the Box returns tonight. LSU against Bethune-Cookman. If you're going to be out at the Box, make sure you drink plenty of delicious ice-cold Bud Light. Few things better than an ice-cold Bud Light, bag of peanuts, and a ball game. You can enjoy that tonight out at Alec Box Stadium. Or, of course, at your home, stock the fridge. Or if you're heading out to your favorite restaurant or watering hole, ask for it by name. The delicious taste, great tasting Bud Light, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Shea Dixon, who was out at practice, joins us every Tuesday, talk a little recruiting. There were a few recruits out there at practice today. I want to get Shea's thoughts on that. And also, the basketball transfer portal window opens today. So we'll get an update on that with Shady as we continue. We're glad you're here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
AFR.
What a beautiful time of year. What a beautiful time of year and a great time to get by Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, you know where they are. Seagan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local and just plant something, y'all. I mean, every single day they've got new shipments arriving. This post was just 53 minutes ago on their Facebook page. A beautiful selection of lilies that arrived today at Clegg's. So get on by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. If it's beautiful lilies or other spring flowers that you want to add that pop of color to your flower bed, your patio pots, they can help you. You want to plant that fall or that vegetable garden, Clegg's can help you do that as well. If you need mulch or soil, bag, bulk, or you need all the things to keep the pests away, mosquito repellent, the Aeon mosquito eradicator, ant killer, bug spray, they got it all at Clegg's Nursery.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, glad you're with us here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. We're powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Shea Dixon will join us here, scheduled to join us here in just a quick second. National championship game was last night. The Michigan Wolverines win the Natty. That's after UCLA won the women's basketball national championship, which is after Indiana won the football national championship, which is after Ohio State won last year's football national championship, which is after Michigan won the national championship the year before, which means, the Big Ten is kind of wrecking stuff right now. And I know nobody likes to hear that, but the reality is, in this era right now, in this portal NIL era, the Big Ten is winning. And you can rest on your laurels of what the SEC was for 2 decades, really dominating college football in the BCS and then into the 4-team college football playoff era. But the bottom line is the results are what they are. And I get it. Florida won the basketball title a year ago, which is great for the SEC. And you can tell me all you want about baseball. And you know I love college baseball, and the SEC is the best baseball league. But when you're talking about the revenue-generating sports, which there are two, it's football and men's basketball, like, the Big Ten is winning. There's no way around that. So whether it's level of buy-in, which I think there's plenty in the SEC, whether it's hitting on the portal or having the right coaches in place, I don't have the answer. What is undeniable, though, is for the same reason and way that the SEC would flex and pound its chest for a better part of 2 decades as the preeminent conference in college athletics, in particular college football, that is now the Big Ten. And nobody wants to hear that. I get it. But you can't argue against the results. So Michigan wins their first national title since 1989 in basketball. And the Big Ten continues rolling. Dusty May, after the national championship game, talked about what it was like to win this title.
When you bring a group this talented together and they decide from the beginning that they're going to do it this way and they never waver and they never change, that's probably the most uncommon thing in athletics now. And it's a tribute to their character, but also those in their circles around them, their coaches, their parents, their mentors. They allowed these guys to give themselves up for the group, and it's never guaranteed, but for these guys to cut down the nets after all they sacrifice is pretty special.
It's going to be interesting to look ahead to next year and what may all come as you turn the page. Of course, for LSU basketball, Will Wade right now is starting to get his team ready and really to build his staff and his team. So there is one confirmed member of Will Wade's staff now, and it's Rick Stansbury. So this had been reported previously, but it is now confirmed by LSU that Rick Stansbury is the first official member of Will Wade's staff. The winningest coach in the history of Mississippi State basketball is now joining LSU as the associate head coach. It's interesting because initially the reports that we had heard was that Stansbury was going to be joining as general manager. And then Will said at his press conference last week he wasn't going to have a general manager. So this isn't a front office position. Rick Stansbury is the associate head coach, meaning he's going to be on Will Wade's bench. So he is going to be the associate head coach and be on the bench coaching the team. There's also been multiple reports about Johnny Jones, something we had heard right when Will took the job. There were some initial reports about Jones taking the job, something he refuted that he hadn't yet figured all that out yet. Candidly, we made some calls. We're unable to confirm definitively that it was happening, but that continues now to be reported that Jones is going to join LSU staff as an assistant to Will Wade. My understanding is Johnny's close to retirement and wanted to come back to Louisiana, so it's an opportunity where he's going to give up his head coaching job at Texas Southern and come back to Baton Rouge, be an assistant in a place where he was once head coach, which is just it's odd because we had we did have this conversation loosely about the possibility of Ed Ogeron joining Lane Kiffin's staff as a defensive line coach, and we talked about just sort of the oddity, right, of a guy that was once the head coach at this place coming back as an assistant. Now, Bobby Petrino did that at Arkansas this year, but now Johnny Jones is doing it. He was the head coach at LSU. He was fired as the head coach of LSU, but now he's coming back, it seems, as an assistant. John Rothstein reported. A lot of people are reporting it. LSU has yet to confirm it. And then the other sort of tidbit today, we're going to follow this as the day goes along because the portal window is now officially open for basketball. And we do have the portal tracker up at LouisianaSports.net. If you want to check it out, again, it's always free, everything over at LouisianaSports.net. So what we have so far, the players that have declared their intention to enter the portal, DJ Thomas, Maisie Mosley, Jalen Reed, Matt Gillul, Ron Zipper, Marcus Vaughns. Those are the ones that are entering the portal. And then you have players out of eligibility, right? PJ Carter, Markel Sutton, Pablo Tamba, Max McKinnon, Rashard King. And then we're going to have to update this because Michael Nwoko also today declared his intention to enter the transfer portal. So LSU's losing another. So if you just look at Thomas, Mosley, Reed, Gillul, Zipper, Vaughns, and then Nwoko. That's 7 that are entering the portal. And then Carter, Sutton, Tomba, McKinnon, King, that's 12. You're going to have a whole new roster. You're going to have a whole new roster next year. I think as we all anticipated they would, what direction they go, what resources they have to spend will be sort of the thing to watch, and how Will Wade wants to build his roster. For what it's worth, both DraftKings and FanDuel have put out odds for next year's national championship, naturally with the new national champion being crowned last night with Michigan. So everyone nationally is more looking at, okay, well, who's going to be at the top of that list, where you've got programs like Duke at the top of the list and Michigan, as you'd expect. Duke's at plus 800, Michigan's plus 1,200. Florida, Arizona, Michigan State, Kansas follow, all the usual suspects. The one thing that was interesting was looking at DraftKings and FanDuel. Both give LSU very, very long odds, but they're also very far apart. So DraftKings has LSU at plus 12,000, meaning if you bet $100, you'd win $12,000 if LSU won the national championship. FanDuel still has very long odds at plus 6,500, but not nearly as long as plus 12,000. So anyway, this is where it stands right now for LSU going into this portal window. 7 players announcing their intention to go in the portal. LSU yet to add one. I know some people looking around going, what's Will Wade doing? The portal's open. They haven't signed a roster yet. We're going to wait and see what positions, what players might enter the portal formally. Then, just like with football, remember the portal opened, they almost immediately had visitors coming to campus. And once visitors started to come to campus is when you started to land commitments. Jackson Harris from Hawaii was the first that LSU landed. And then shortly after that, you added Ty Benefield, the safety, if you remember. And you kept adding players all the way throughout that process, throughout that window, all the way to Jordan Seaton at the very end of the process. So I don't think this all needs to be done in a day. I'm going to be interested to see what type of resource LSU has for basketball to invest in this portal class, because clearly this portal class, this roster is largely going to be made up of a portal class, considering you've effectively lost your entire roster. All right, it's after further review. Shay's supposed to be with us. Don't know what's going on. It's Tuesday at 3:15. Typically, he knows where to be, but I talked to him earlier today. We'll see if we can catch up with Shay maybe in the next segment or sometime later in the show. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com, new and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Check out our friends at South Point Volkswagen. They're Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, southpointvw.com, where they always have great deals going on. Like right now, you can get $2,500 customer bonus on a 2026 Crossport, or 3.9% APR for 60 months. I mean, you're talking about 5 years. 3.9% for 5 years and $2,500 customer bonus. Check it out at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. You can shop them online. You can look up all the year, make, model, body style, price, all of it online. Work out your financing online. Safest vehicles on the road. Stylish, style, feel, performance of luxury without the cost. And the best selection you'll find anywhere, because they are Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. If you're looking for an SUV, a sedan, or, of course, the ever-popular VW bus, the all-new electric VW bus, you can check it out at southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, y'all, it is after further review. We are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Visit sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. We'll now got a quick break, go around the SEC. We'll try to catch up with Shay Dixon. We're going to head up to Clemson, South Carolina in about 33 minutes. As Clemson is wrapped up spring, we're keeping a close eye on Clemson because, of course, LSU is going to open up the 2026 season with Clemson in Tiger Stadium, so that'll be a pretty common talking point throughout the offseason. All right, let me knock out a break. We'll come back and go around the SEC. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, if you're thinking about putting in a pool, if this warm weather and the thought of your family, friends, and neighbors going swimming at their pools making you a little jealous, a little bit of the keeping up with the Joneses, call Duplessis Builders. Or better yet, go to duplessisbuilders.net. Duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. That's the website. And the website's a great starting point because, as far as I know, I don't know anybody else that lets you do this, but you can go to the website and hit the Pick Your Pool tab. They have 11 different pool designs, and you can pick out your design right there. And you can do all the finishes. It's very cool, all 3D imagery. So you can pick out whatever design you like, tiling, coping, all the finishes? Do you want lights? Do you want water features? Pick it all out. It'll build it right there for you on the website. You can pay for it right there on the website. And then, boom, you're in the mix. Start that process today. DuplessisBuilders.net. DuplessisBuilders.net. Top 50 pool builder in America. DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Plowing these fields in the hot summer sun over by the gate.
I was very unhappy or displeased with the umpire. I didn't think any one of the 3 pitches were a strike, and the third one sure was not a strike. My mother was very disappointed with some of the language I used, especially on Easter Sunday. That wasn't good.
Jay Johnson on his radio show Monday night. You can get laughs out of it when you win the game, I guess. But Jay was ejected. Listen, I 100% support Jay Johnson getting run from that game. Knowing full well, we talked about it yesterday, I'll just reiterate, you argue balls and strikes, you're getting tossed. That is indisputable. You argue balls and strikes, you get thrown out of the game, period. Kevin Schnall did that for Coastal in the championship in Game 2 of the championship series, got run in the first inning. He's an idiot. Good coach, idiot. You have to, we talked about it at the time, you have to know in the moment it's the first inning of the championship series. Game 2 of the championship series. You cannot go argue balls and strikes ever and expect to stay in the game. So Jay Johnson leaving the dugout to argue balls and strikes and using 12-letter words is going to get him run every time and should get him run. But sometimes you have to go, like in basketball, sometimes you got to go get teed up. Like you got to go let an official know your displeasure. And sometimes it's just an infusion of life and energy into your team, and it certainly worked for Jay Johnson's team on Sunday. So I don't want him to go get run every game. But in that moment, yes, I think it was warranted, justified, and clearly it paid off. Now, in that game, the scary moment came with the collision with Omar Serna, where he of course, was removed from the game afterwards. And Jay Johnson did say Serna's out Tuesday, but this is Jay explaining that whole injury sequence.
Real time, it was very scary.
Yeah.
Like it was right in front of our dugout. He got knocked out. Like his eyes went out immediately. And so we got out there. Isaac Trujillo, our trainer, we went out there, and he kind of came back to consciousness really quick. Now there's a new rule where you can remove a player if you want to evaluate him for a concussion, and that's the only reason you can actually put him back in the game. So obviously that was easily the right thing to do. And then we finished the inning, and then I went back to check on him, and Isaac was like, he's probably not going back in today, which was fine, but he was coherent and talking, and I felt good about that.
If a player is knocked unconscious, the idea of them going back into the game feels ridiculous. I was actually watching on Saturday. I was watching UFC Fight Card, and there was a moment. You probably weren't watching. It's fine, but there was a moment where a fighter was grounded, and you can't strike to the head if a fighter is grounded. I mean, they're touching to the mat, and this fighter was grounded, got kicked. Incidentally, it was meant to be a body kick. It grazed her in the chin and knocked her unconscious. Well, they deducted a point, but let the fighter continue once she came back to consciousness, which to me is, and I love the sport, it's absurd. Like, if you were knocked unconscious, you have a concussion. I mean, like, for all we've talked about concussions and CTE and everything, it's very serious. Omar Serna, Jay's saying there they saw him go unconscious, there's no way he should have even contemplated continuing, even if you've come back too. Like, the risk of recurrence is way too high. So they absolutely made the right decision there. And you got to see Eddie Yaman play. And Yaman ended up getting a couple of knocks. And the question was asked of Jay, do you think we'll see more of Eddie Yaman moving forward?
Direct answer is absolutely yes. He's going to continue to get more time, and he has, as he's performed well. I'm not going to plan on missing too many more games, but watching a few innings on TV yesterday, it kind of gives you a different perspective. I was able to watch all the hitters' body language and demeanor, and I thought he was really locked in. He was showing hey, I'm an older player. I'm in control of myself, even though I haven't got a lot of at-bats. And then came through with a couple big at-bats. They're getting hit by the pitch that started the big inning. And then later on in the same inning coming up and hitting a 2 RBI double. And even the at-bat that he struck out with the bases loaded and there, he looked locked in. And he caught very well. I mean, I really want to give it to him. He's really improved in his time here as a catcher. And that's great to see, especially when, both catchers have been nicked up a little bit.
Remember, Yaman started his career, played 2 seasons at Dayton, redshirted last year at LSU, did not see game action. So now this is his first time playing at LSU, but he's a fourth-year player. So he is an older, more veteran player. And a lot of people ask, should Yaman get more playing time after Sunday? And I guess my point is, maybe. And 2 for 5 on Sunday was great, and he did catch well. He also didn't have a hit since the Creighton game on March the 10th. Those were his first hits in SEC play. So we've seen a lot of not great from Eddie Yaman up until this point in the season. Limited sample size, albeit a limited sample size. But he had a 2-hit game against Northeastern. Aside from that 2-hit game against Northeastern, he had the 1 hit against Creighton and didn't have a hit in any other outing until Sunday when he got the 2 hits. So maybe it's one of those things where he's got to go get 12, 15 at-bats in a weekend to feel comfortable and produce. I understand he had just 5 at-bats on Sunday, but maybe it's one of those things where he needs more volume to get comfortable. Or maybe that was just a one-off where the day he had at Tennessee isn't going to be the norm for him. And I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is I keep looking at guys with high ceiling and wanting to get those guys reps to maximize their opportunity, and that's where you look at Serna and Aaron Beatty for obvious reasons. I mean, Aaron Beatty homered 4 times on Sunday. When we talk about skill set ceiling, that's pretty impressive. I'm not saying Aaron Beatty is going to go have multi-homer games ever again, but you know what's in there, right? And with Omar Serna, similarly. He's struggled in conference play. His batting average is hovering around 250 in SEC play. But the bottom line is, with Serna, he's got this mega ceiling. So you go get him another 100 at-bats against SEC pitching. He keeps getting more comfortable. That production should, in theory, follow. So that's why I just kind of keep leaning towards wanting to play the talented guys that you've recruited with a super high ceiling over some of the transfers who you added because they're veteran players that have college experience but maybe a lower ceiling, if that makes sense. I can't help but look at, we've talked about this a little bit. I mean, you look at a guy like Costello who was here a year ago, was here for a season, didn't play, transfers. Now he's at Maryland, and he's clubbed 13 homers this year, playing first base. He's hitting 260-ish, but he's got 13 homers. Would you take 260 with 13 homers from York right now? I would. I mean, look at Mikey Ryan. All the struggles LSU's had finding a consistent second baseman. Mikey Ryan's starting at NC State right now. He's their everyday second baseman. Would you rather that kid with 3 years of eligibility after last season to continue to grow and develop? Guy would give his arm to play at LSU and is super talented, just did play a bunch as a freshman? I mean, I would. It's easy to say with the benefit of hindsight now. But I'm just curious if that maybe isn't a path that Jay starts to follow a little bit more. Instead of seeing so much turnover, if you're going to invest the resources into recruiting these elite-level high school players to get them to campus, don't let them walk after 1 year because they don't play. You commit to those guys maybe instead. If you can go add an elite-level transfer, you do it. I mean, you can go add Tommy White, you do it 100 times out of 100. You can add Paul Skeens, you can go add Gage Jump, you do it 100 times out of 100. But I guess more I'm talking about that second tier of transfer is maybe where you have to decide, that person has more college experience, but the young guy that we recruited has a super high ceiling, and maybe it's more about roster retention with some of those guys. Again, this is a conversation we'll have after the season, but just something to consider. And anyway, in any event, we'll see what type of opportunities out there for Eddie Yaman. Look, Serna is not going to play on Tuesday. Jay said that, so it would stand to reason that you're going to see Yaman in there. Even if he doesn't start, he'll be in there in summer. Maybe Yaman catches and Aaron Beatty DHs, or you flip him, or however that may go. But yeah, I would fully expect that you'll see Yaman in some capacity in this game today. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. You know where they are, parishrestoration.com. Man, they do awesome work. They come spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. Go through that, patented. Nobody else can do it. Non-toxic, safe for family, pets, plants, everything. Dry fog, meaning that it's a dry fog. You don't have to worry about it messing up your furniture or your carpet or your drywall, your sheetrock, any of that stuff. It's easy, it's effective, it's cost effective, and it's efficient. It's Parish Restoration. It's for your home, office, church, school, doctor's office. You want to get rid of toxic mold, other harmful pathogens, sanitize, maybe get rid of odor. You can do that as well. And eliminate all the bacteria that causes odor. It's Parish Restoration. Parishrestoration.com. Parishrestoration.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs added defensive back Zacharias Huzzy out of LaGrange, Georgia. He's their second commit for the class of 2027. Picked Arkansas over App State, Florida Atlantic, South Florida, Troy, and FIU. 6'1", 175. He's a 3-star, the number 95 cornerback in the country.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
LeBaron Philon has declared for the 2026 NBA Draft, widely expected. He was a third-team All-American by several of the outlets. He's number 13 in the CBS Sports Player ranking. He's number 21 in the ESPN Draft rankings. He was a centerpiece this year, led the team at 22 points per game.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Starting guard Jordan Ross will enter the transfer portal, 6'3", 195. He'll have 1 year of eligibility remaining. He's the fifth Georgia player to announce his intention of transferring. He was Georgia's starting point guard for much of this season, really since mid-February. Played in 32 games with 25 starts.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Andrea Jalovic has become the latest Kentucky Wildcat to enter the transfer portal. His agent gave the news to Jonathan Givony from Draft Express. Sophomore by rule, but spent one season at Kentucky, so it's his first in collegiate basketball. He joined Kentucky's starting group, averaging 5 points and 47% from the field.
The Missouri Tigers.
And Mizzou starting guard T.O. Barrett is entering the transfer portal as well. Posted the news on social media. Had a breakout season this year after Dennis Gates moved Barrett into the starting lineup after 19 games into the season. As a starter, he averaged 12, 3, and 3 for the Missouri Tigers. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. We are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. Last week, they had the grand opening at the new store, the Piku location in Baton Rouge. If you're on I-10 between Highland and Seagan in Baton Rouge, that's where the new Piku exit is, and you can't miss it. So if you're heading on I-10 west, right from Highland, like towards Seagan, if you're on west, just look to your right, and you'll see it. I mean, they've cleared all the trees and everything, right? It's just a giant, beautiful building right there. That's the latest Sunshine. Yep, they got all your farm equipment. They also got zero-turn mowers. They got gators. They've got your tailgating gear. If you need that portable generator, they got them there as well. Sunequip.com, sunequip.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Remember, you can email us, tweet us, or text. Text me, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. You can always text our station line as well. That's 225-499-1045. And that number is good for all of our shows here at 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. So Off the Bench, Live at Lunch, Hunt Palmer Show, and AFR. So you can always feel free to hit us up there if you want to text the show, 225-499-1045, 499-1045. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll knock out a quick break, wrap up hour number one. Big get for Kim Mulkey. We'll talk about it next on AFR.
After Further Review.
Can't believe we got this little cold snap. I mean, to wake up today to 48 degrees was just disgusting. But in April. But it's bought you a little time to call River City's 1 Hour Air for your preseason AC tune-up. If you can't remember the last time you did your preseason AC tune-up, you're overdue because you should do this literally every year. It's standard seasonal maintenance that you should make it a point to do every single year. And they'll save you money. Mention the Moscona special, mention the show. They're going to knock $30 off the price of that tune-up. But I would recommend you do what I did, which is join their membership club, and the seasonal maintenance is complimentary. So you join the membership club, you get membership pricing for all repairs, front-of-the-line service if you have an issue, and the complimentary seasonal maintenance in the winter and the summer. So call River City's 1 Hour Air and look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on. She's always staring.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1, and glad you're aboard with us here. Kim Mulkey got some phenomenal news on Monday night. One of the top 10 players in the country, on the eve of the portal opening, Oak Grove 5-star center Caroline Bradley committed to LSU. She had offers from, again, top 10 player in the country. She had offers from everywhere, UCLA, South Carolina, and everything in between. Averaged 27 points a game as a junior this past season. Scored 38 of her team's 43 points in the state championship game. One that Oak Grove narrowly lost to Oakdale back last month. So latest 5-star commitment for Kim Mulkey, the first from Louisiana since Michaela Williams committed from Parkway 3 years ago. I think this is significant for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it's a player from Louisiana and a 5-star and one that you wanted to get. But listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I watch a ton of women's college basketball. I don't. I'm a fan of the LSU program, and it's a lot of fun when they get hot in March and they go on a deep run, and we all want to see them win championships. One thing that seems very obvious and very consistent in that sport is dominant bigs win. I mean, we all know who Lauren Betts is. She won a national championship at UCLA. LSU's lone national championship came with Angel Reese, dominating the paint. Guard play is awesome, and I think guard play in March is critical for the men's game. But in men's college basketball, everyone has a big. Like, everyone has an athletic big man. You just don't have as many female humans that are 6'5", 6'6", that are super athletic, and that it's just a much rarer thing, which is why when you stumble across a dominant big in women's college basketball, they're hell to deal with. And so if you find one, get her. If you find a dominant big, get a dominant big, and let her go wreck stuff. I'm way oversimplifying this, but like, guard play is great, and it's fun, and you love it. I'm not trying to minimize Caitlin Clark, but she's probably the greatest women's basketball player we've seen in a generation. She's certainly been the most impactful as far as attention on the game. She didn't win at Iowa. They won a lot of games. They won a championship at Iowa. Why? Because they ran into dominant bigs. They couldn't match. So, in any event, Caroline Bradley commits to LSU, and Kim Mulkey out of Oak Grove, 5-star, best center in the country. I think it's really significant for Kim in the march toward hopefully getting back to a Final Four and back to another championship. Hey, we're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters too. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do shutters and shades. Remember those roller shades that they have? It's a new product that they're offering over at Relief Windows. Those roller shades are beautiful. They're custom-made for the exact specification of your home. It can light control and help climate control your home. So check them out. Maybe you want those blackout shades so light from outside isn't getting in at night or in the early morning hours. You don't want the sunlight beating through your bedroom door, your kitchen, whatever it may be. Relief Windows can help. Everything is custom made for the specifications of your home, and they always specialize in customer satisfaction. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Give them a shout. Check them out online at ReliefWindows.com. ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. If you missed it, we opened up the show today with our LSU football practice report. Well, after practice, Lane Kiffin met with reporters. So I do want to get through, in pieces of the next 2 hours of the show, a lot of what Lane had to say, including not only his update on Sam Leavitt, but why he feels like the defense right now is far outpacing the offense. And in particular, he talked about the importance of some of the young the interior defensive linemen, namely Richard Anderson. I want to talk about why I think that's significant, because as LSU went and remade this roster through the signing class and the transfer portal, the one spot where they really didn't address it with numbers is the defensive line. And so they're going to be counting on a few guys to be great. And I'm curious how that's going to go. We'll give you some color and context to that as we move throughout the show. So we're glad to have you hanging out with us here. All right, buckle up. It's AFR presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sports Center's coming up. We'll get you caught up on national headlines. When we come back, we're heading up to Clemson, South Carolina to check in on the Tigers.
After Further Review.
Tuesday, Supper Club is back open. My goodness, lucky, lucky, lucky you. And lucky me and lucky all of us. SupperClubBTR.com for your reservation. SupperClubBTR.com. But you don't need a reservation to go to Supper Club. As I remind you all the time, open seating at the bar. 14 bar stools, 7 bar tables, first come, first serve. So you knock off of work, you want to call your significant other, say, hey, don't cook tonight. We're going to Supper Club. Meet me. I'll walk in, grab a couple of bar stools. Maybe there's a bar table open. Maybe you're lucky there's even a table in the dining room open. Maybe you get lucky on a Tuesday night. Whatever you do, get on by Supper Club, because whatever you have at Supper Club is going to be the greatest of that thing that you have anywhere. If it's steak, if it's scallops, if it's the Chilean sea bass or the Ora King salmon, if you're into seafood, maybe you want the lamb chops, which are the lamb lollipops are amazing. And I've told you so much about the veal parm, which might very well be my favorite thing on the menu. Top it off with some butter cake or creme brulee. Supper Club. Get your reservation today. SupperClubBTR.com.